Hey everybody, this is Pat again with Veterinary Marketing Group. Thanks so much for taking the time. If you clicked on this particular video, you probably wanted a little bit of proof in the pudding. You're like, hey, listen, let me see some results of this Google My Business SEO stuff, right? Because there's a lot of crap out there when it comes to analytics and people showing stuff. You go to somebody's website and they're like, we gave this client 2,000% increase, and it just says it, and the numbers go up, and they click on it. Honestly, for me, I don't like that when I see that. I want someone to show me either a Google Analytics shot, or how about just go right into Google My Business, right into the profile, and show me real time. So what we did was, and there's a little bit of caveat to this, we took a couple snapshots of what we did and the increase in really phone calls. Everything else is fine. And I have other case studies with social that go through how to develop leads. Like we developed about 75 leads in a week on a dental hygiene campaign. And it worked great, but I'm not going to get into that now because this is about Google My Business, SEO, and it's your first line of offense. If you're listening to this and you're in a major city, okay, I'm telling you right now, it's highly competitive. For example, in Queens, I know there's about 100 veterinary clinics, maybe more. I think it's 157, right? So again, maybe that makes you really busy, but at the same time, you want to get the right customers and you want to make sure you're ranking right there, okay? If you got to turn people away, I mean, God bless, it's great, but that's usually not the case. So again, this is the way you take yourself to a 7-figure vet clinic or an 8-figure vet clinic. By doing this properly, okay? So I'm going to go in. You can see live. I'm going into here. I'm going to go into the performance, okay? And if you've ever been in through this before, this is where you go if you've never been into your Google My Business. But again, what it's going to do is it's going to show a couple different things. It'll pull up in a second. But what we try to do with a more seasoned vet clinic, right, is you want to look at two things, right? The first thing you want to look at is your month over month, right? Now, is it hard to compare? Certain months are going to be busier than others. It's winter, it's spring, it's tick season, whatever it might be. People are going to be online more, and they may call you, right? Now, in most cases, people may call for different reasons. It's hard to say. So you've got to get an aggregate. I like to compare year over year, right? So for example, let's just look at this, right? If I looked at just July, okay, of last year. All right. We started this Google My Business campaign, though. We started it back in February. What I want to show you is a quick little snapshot of this. And I wish I had more of this because it was exciting. When we first dug in with this group, they weren't ranked at all for vet clinic or animal hospital because they had just opened up and had bought an older clinic that he really didn't even claim its profile, right? He didn't really have a lot going on. It was just old school, right? And it was good because he got referrals, but they had to bring this into the new age. And what we did was we actually had a nice snapshot, if I can find it here, of us and the first month, I think it was the second month going in, and the amount of phone calls that they got. So I'm going to pull that up in a second, but let me just show you here. So July to July, right? You can see this is the amount of phone calls that came in, 645 calls in the month, right? Now, if you look down here, this is calls made by last year, right? It's a 41% increase. Right? It's 40% increase, right? Now, if you look at each year, each month, you can see the increase here. This is how you compare this, right? And you can see every year we beat every year by quite a bit. And again, guys, I can show you the overview. It's bigger numbers. It's going to show a 154%. Guys, never mind the overview. I don't care about the overview. I care about phone calls, man. You need to get phone calls, even directions. It's great to have that, but that could be someone just going to the place, right? I don't really give a shit about that. Website clicks is pretty important too, but honestly, I want phone calls. I want to see how many people picked up the phone, right? Again, if they're clicking to Google My Business and finding it, some of these phone calls, they might be from current customers, but that's not going to shake a 92% increase. It's just not. Okay. So just keep that in mind. If you go through this each year, each month, this was our build out process, and you can see you're just getting increasing calls by quite a bit every single year, okay? And it wasn't like this business was doing bad last year, right? All the way through, and you can see as we go into October, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but you can see the increase is 52%. And I'm going to show you kind of what we did. I'm not going to go in super detail about this, but we have a proprietary system on how we build out a Google My Business program. It usually takes about 6 months, and then we just have a taper off process that just adds posts and just does some tweaking each month. And it's part of our package, right? So we just kind of change what you're investing each month with our pay-per-click and our SEO packages to make sure that we're allocating that money into some type of SEO, right? Either it's Google My Business and this build out like this for Google Maps, or it's on-page SEO for your site and adding the services or blog or content, or it's getting backlinks or something like that, right? Then we start layering in into higher, newer advanced packages. We get into more of social, right? So again, you can see just increases every year, every month coming in here. And I wanted to find, where were we at when we actually pulled up an amazing, let me see, I can pull it up right here. I just want to do this real time because I wanted you to see it. So I'm going to pull up a snapshot we took. Here it is, right? As you can see, it's IC Urgent Care. This is in February. Look at this, February to March. 1,460 calls, 298% increase. So again, you're not going to get that every single month, okay? But when you do something properly and you don't skip steps, boom, you get an influx of calls, right? It wasn't like something crazy was happening, in February, right? It was done right. And the next one, I believe, was 600 or 700. And again, we should have downloaded this, so we had it, and we were just doing a lot of stuff with this client, and we just didn't download those numbers. But I'll try to pull up and maybe in Google Analytics later. But you can see that's a hell of an increase to work out. Now, what did we do? Everybody's asking that question, right? By the way, before I get into what we did, let me just show you. We use a software here, and what this shows is when we put in veterinary clinic right here, right? You can see it's the same client, right? This is some software that we use where we go in, and you can see they weren't like this before. Every one of these circles, okay, shows where you're placed on Google Maps. Let me show you what I mean. Let's pick number 2 over here, right? So if you're in this area of Queens, guys, keep in mind how many millions of people are in this radius right now. So what we did was we did a radius down here, see? 13 by 13, right, circles. Each of those circles inside here is 0.25 miles. If you're listening to me and you're in a rural area or a suburb, then we're going to push this out. We're probably going to do like a 1 mile radius. We can do a 2 mile radius inside this circle, right? But remember, people are only going to drive about 20 minutes, 30 minutes for their dog or their cat. They'll drive further for specific things, and maybe in some cases longer if you've been with them and they moved. But in general, if someone's looking for someone, they look in their city or they're looking somewhere in the outskirts to get there, especially if they have to take a train or something like that, right? So if you click here, watch, this is really cool. All right, click number 2. You can see in that area, you got Heights Animal Hospital, and then boom, there's number 2, International Animal Clinic, right? And you can see right there, there's number 3, there's number 4. Now, what we start looking at is if you go over to number 5, you can see we're not in the 3-pack, right? Remember what the 3-pack is, guys, right? So 3-pack is if I put vet near me, right? So if I'm putting vet near me right here, and we look, it's going to look locally 1, 2, 3. See that right there? 1, 2, 3. That is the 3-pack. There is no 4-pack. It's always 3. That's right there. If you have good reviews, right, you could put an ad in here. This right here is pay-per-click, right? You can't even control how to get it in there, right? You have to actually get in there and just say you're paying for so much in the rotation when someone puts vet near me in that city, and then it pops up. I don't recommend doing this if it's in your city. You can, if you're super competitive, with lots of vet clinics in the area, then you may want to do that, or a specific service they're looking for, like vet surgeon or something like that, where it can be big money and they're looking for the best surgeon with the best reviews. And sometimes they won't go to their own vet for that. Okay, everybody here knows that. So this is the 3-pack, right? So you can see as we go in here, I can run around, and this is how we kind of look and see where we need to focus. Now let me show you something that was much more difficult, because we nailed this. We went through this process. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to show you really quick the process that we do go through when we're building this kind of stuff out. So you can see right here, we start out, the first thing that we do is go through making sure we verify all the access and all the NAP. That's name, address, and profile and name. And it's got to be congruent across. And what we found right off the bat with this client is that there were discrepancies in somebody who lived there before. Now we're talking about Queens here, right? So you got all these locations and all these suites and this and that. Google doesn't give a shit. They don't care, man. So if they don't see congruency and you don't submit it to make sure it's there, you're just not going to get ranked. And that was one of the reasons they weren't getting ranked, because they had decent reviews, right? They just didn't have the basics set up right. So we went in, we found all these discrepancies. there's an apartment number off. This production company was part of it too. Then they're happy they had a grooming, but they named the grooming something different, but then connected at the same address. It's a no-no. There's a way to do this kind of stuff, guys, and you can't fight Google. If they don't know, they're going to be like, you're done, out, and you're not ranked in the 3-pack. They don't care, and there's nothing you can do about it. The only thing you have to do is play ball, do it the right way, dot your I's and cross your T's, and let us do this type of audit. So we did the audit, and it was a heavy lift to make sure all this was congruent. I'm not going to go through all this kind of stuff, duplicate content, all that kind of stuff, right? So then and you can see we've got reports here you can click on, right? So if you click on a report, I'm just going to show you, it'll pull up the report and it'll show you what we found. So this is where we're very organized. Look at this, right? It's just showing you exactly what we found, what the situations were, what issues we had, right? So again, we get pretty detailed with this. Again, I'm not jumping into all that right now, but we're very detailed with our reports. This is not easy to do, and it does take a long time to do. Do you have to do it? If you don't have a lot of competition, maybe you don't need to do it, okay? But in most cases, if you're going to be in the 3-pack, it's usually what you need to do. As we get around here, we're getting into our more advanced stuff here. We're going into our category research. I have another video about categories. You've got categories and you've got subcategories, right? Categories you can choose, but your subcategories you cannot, right? Your subcategories, you can't tell Google, hey, add dental to it, add sonograms, add x-rays, add this. You can't do that, right? Something specific for cats or for dogs or birds or whatever, horses, you can't do that. But you can go into a specific part there and we can analyze that and put all those services in there, right? So super important because Google will still find that. So if someone does put in doggy dentist, which is not a lot of volume, guys. Someone wants their dog to have a dentist, they're going to put vet in there most of the time, but a lot of people will. Right, I think in one area in New York, it was about 1,500 a month. People put in doggy dentist, cat dentist, right? So again, you can put that in your subcategory. So we went into that. Then we start getting into setting up your local keyword trackers. And then that's where you see the Viking setup. And this is us setting up our baseline visibility report, which was this over here, just to see how it increases over time, okay? So that's our first part of that process that we're using. Let me jump back over to here. Then we start getting into some content. So we'll take those top keywords, right? Again, if you want to see what the top keywords are across the country as an aggregate, I have that. You can download that checklist and check it out. So we take that not only for SEO, but also for pay-per-click, right? Because, some of those words like veterinarian are expensive for pay-per-click. And then we'll just try to we're going to build our content and our strategy around those keywords inside Google My Business and your website. So we're going to take like these mini posts and we're going to create some of these 10 posts usually a month we're going to do. And we're going to add these small mini articles and layer in the backlinks and the keywords into this, right? So we write those for you. We got images in there. We optimize your images. And again, we go into location optimization, right? Location optimization is about making sure you're embedding maps showing where you are. Sometimes it's not about just that. When you're geofencing and building out your geo network, sometimes you're just embedding citations and maps all over the place. So if everyone knows what citations are, right? Citations are directories, right? So obviously when we do this, we're adding in a bunch of directories, your Yelps, and there's hundreds of directories, right? Are you going to get business right from a directory and they're going to call you? No, telling you right now, very rarely does that happen. As a matter of fact, when we do it, what we usually do is create a different email address for it. So you're not getting phone calls. We just want to make sure that Google's blind, right? So they're going to feel around and see, wow, these guys are in all these different directories and stuff. Wow, they're really popular. They're really relevant. They're everywhere, right? This is where you're getting that omnipresence. Like, I am this vet clinic and we are everywhere, right? That kind of situation. And then we're linking that back and embedding those maps into your Google My Business, right? And again, I can show you a little example of this, right? And what it's going to do is just going to pull open the Google Drive folder and it's going to show you exactly the screenshots of the different map embeds that we're doing. So give us a second. As it pulls up, you'll see. Maybe it pulls up. There you go. See these little map embeds with our little articles here? This is exactly what we're doing, guys. And again, there's veterinarian near me, right? This is how you do this. You do it slowly but surely. But when you do this, that's when you get this. Remember I said how many vet clinics are in here? These guys rock number one, and we tweak it a little bit, and they will always be number one. No one's going to beat us, right? Because we take our time when we do this, Okay. As you go through here, it goes to more advanced stuff. We start adding some of the social platforms into this and layering it in depending on the package that you're in. And again, you can see all the work we're doing. Guys, we are probably the most transparent organization that you're going to see anywhere. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of crap out there, right? So we'll show you exactly what you're trying to, what we're doing, right? And you'll be able to click right here at any time you want to, by the way, right? And you'll be able to, it's view only though, you'll be able to see exactly what we're working on when it comes to the social platforms, right? So look at all of these social platforms. Some you'll recognize like YouTube and that kind of stuff, right? If you already have it, we're good. If you don't, we create it. But you can see we've got all these here where we're building these out and we're linking them back, right? So again, they had an upgrade with this package and because it's so competitive, and we went in and created all of these links. So when Google looks for a veterinarian or vet urgent care, can you guys start to see why they're ranked like this in Queens? Yes, this is why, right? Because we didn't cut any corners and we really rocked this out, right? I'm gonna keep going down here. We get into local need signals. I don't want this to go on to a 20-minute situation, but a lot of these things are secondary citations, even ways, right? All things like this. There's all kinds of profiles we can build out, and then we start tapering out off. We do some boosts with custom signals and some other listing services, right? So again, I'm not going to get into everything that we do, but you can see it's very robust, and then we keep completing this process. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this. I am going to show you one last thing because it's not about getting ranked with the whole place turning green here, because that's almost impossible. If anybody tells you they can rank you, in any city all over the place, that's bullshit. They can't do that, okay? Google goes by proximity. And again, if you stay pretty relevant and you can do some things, you might be going to get ranked a little bit outside of boroughs like Queens. But if there's cities like 10 cities over, you can try to create landing pages and stuff like that. But if you don't have a Google My Business verification code and send that in, then you're not going to be able to do that unless you're just opening up little Regis areas. And again, it gets very tricky with that. So I'm showing you this because it's important to me for you to see something that we didn't get amazing results because of the competition and how difficult it was. And this was for vet surgeon, right? So we knew that vet surgeons, people will go to their current vet who maybe isn't a surgeon, right? And they want to go and they may get referred someone, but they might go look for somebody who is a vet surgeon, right? Because they want to get the best person if it's a major surgery for cancer or a malignant tumor or whatever kind of surgery it is. They're going to do their research. So you can see when they first started, they only were ranked. They were in remember how this works in the third spot right here. There they are, right? And again, they were getting some phone calls. Remember how many millions of people are here, okay? So after working this through for a few months, if you look, now look, 1, 3, 1, 1, 1, 1. Remember, we're talking about this would be a mile to radius in Queens, right? So now they're getting these phone calls. God, if you're getting an extra 20, 30, 40, 50 phone calls about surgery, now these guys do surgery, right? What? This is, we paid for ourselves 10 times over just by something like this, okay? And we're slowly trying to build this out more, but again, it's highly competitive, okay? And it wasn't our major keyword. We focused on what first? Veterinarian, animal hospital, and urgent care first, right? Now we're starting to add in subcategories and sub-services and building those out as well. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. I know it went a little long, but it's important for you guys to understand that there is a process and a system you need to be plugged into to get success. And this is the way that you do it. So reach out to us. We might be doing some Google My Business boot camp soon, but again, reach out to us if you have any questions. If you qualify, we can go through a strategy session, and it kind of walks through the customer value journey, helps you calculate your revenue and what you can spend. It's a pretty cool strategy session. So again, look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.